Life is hard and getting harder in the Gaza Strip. These street vendors are protesting that Hamas Islamic militants put them out of business as part of a crackdown on illegal activities in Gaza. Hamas seized power in June. Since then, order has prevailed on Gaza's once chaotic streets, but many residents complain that the cost of security is too high. Gaza's borders with Israel are now closed. The only way out is through this crossing point, and the only people leaving are those with emergencies. Since the Hamas takeover, economic life has ground to a halt in much of Gaza. More than 68,000 people have lost their jobs. Israel closed its borders with Gaza because Israel, like much of the international community, considers Hamas to be a terrorist organization. More than 70% of Gaza's factories have closed since the Hamas takeover. Nasser El-Helou is one of Gaza's most prominent businessmen. He says soon Gaza's private sector will be gone, and with it, a stable source in the region.
We as businessmen in Gaza represent with the businessmen in Israel the last bridge that can keep the relationship between those two nations.
Just a few weeks ago, Hamas gunmen and gunmen belonging to the Palestinian faction Fatah battled it out across Gaza. This building was a last Fatah stronghold. Now Fatah has retreated to the West Bank and Hamas rules Gaza. People can once again venture out, but few have any money to spend. Unemployment is reaching record levels, and 80% of Gaza's residents now receive emergency food aid from the United Nations. Ahmed Yusuf is a senior Hamas leader in Gaza. He says for now, Hamas will not recognize Israel or renounce violence, as the international community demands. He warns there will only be more instability if Gaza's economic blockade is not lifted.
I hope that the United States, Israel, and the world community will learn from what happened in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and in many other places where you have occupation and you have people resisting the occupation. As Palestinians, we have under that kind of pressure for 6 decades now. We will continue our struggle until ending the occupation. If the world will help us to end the occupation, that's fine. If not, we will stick to our resistance.
So for now, Hamas says all it can offer the people of Gaza is security, a welcome commodity in a place where insecurity has long been the rule. Mark Regev is the spokesman for the Israeli Foreign Ministry. He says Israel is making sure that plenty of humanitarian assistance is reaching Gaza, but he says it is unrealistic to think that Israel will reopen crossings to commercial activity at the present time.
We would like to have all the crossings up and running. We've got no interest to see any hardship, economic hardship in Gaza. And the idea that a terrorist group who holds an Israeli soldier hostage, who shoots rockets into Israel, who does suicide bombing against Israeli civilians, will be in charge of security is, of course, something that's totally unworkable.
This is the Karni crossing on the Israeli side of the Gaza border. 200 truckloads of commercial cargo a day used to pass through this crossing between Israel and Gaza. Now it is all but abandoned. Many in Gaza say they too have been abandoned and are now at the mercy of political forces they cannot control. Jim Teeple, VOA News, Gaza.